All right, cue the end of the fancy intro video, and welcome back to the Pomerium live stream. My name is Nick Taylor, your host, and today I'm hanging out with my friend Nnenna Ndukwe. Nnenna, how you doing today?
I'm doing so well. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. It's been interesting weather in Montreal on the East Coast. There's been heat, flooding, all kinds of stuff. So for all my friends who've unfortunately been flooded, I hope it gets sorted out soon. But it's wild weather. What about yourself? How's I forget where you're at.
Yeah, I'm in Boston.
Okay, so East Coast as well.
yeah, same as you were just speaking to Roselle, right? Yeah,
Yeah, I was I think 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I'm in Boston. Weather's not great here either. I think it's like all over the U.S. It's just all of a sudden got super rainy and humid and like yeah, just
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
stay indoors.
Yeah, no, totally. Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to hanging and chatting today. Folks are always interested how people got into tech, and like everybody has different backgrounds. Some are self-taught, etc. So curious. I mean, say as much as you'd like to, but curious how you got into tech, and like maybe even to where you're at now. I'm sure you've been in the industry for a while, so.
hmm Yeah, I've been in the industry 10 years now. I got into tech through a combination of like being self-taught, just being super interested in coding and like web development was my start.
Okay.
And I went to like a coding boot camp, which I still consider to be a version of self-taught. And then I was already working in the industry as a developer by the time I studied computer science at Boston University. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, software engineering has been my thing and up until like a few years ago where I made like the official transition to developer relations, which is, that's our jam.
Yeah.
And absolutely loving it. There's just so much there's so many different things to do to like exercise like your curiosity, I feel like through different modes, through content
Yeah,
creation,
totally.
through spending time with like developers and some of the work I do with like engineering leaders as well in this AI space in particular is just really exciting times.
Yeah, there's so much going on. I was out with my cousin. He was in town. He's he's a I'm not trying to brag, but he's just literally is a professor at Stanford. He teaches statistics, and we were just talking about AI and stuff, and like just the whole like I mean he's got obviously a statistics and mathematics background, but he was like asking me some stuff, and I consider myself up to date with AI, but like I also don't think I'm like I'm not like a Dex Horthy or like Swix
Mhm.
obviously, but we were just chatting and just like like it always feels like you're so far behind and stuff, and like I was just telling him like just being in like it's kind of like the Twitter bubble effect, I think,
Yes.
too, which you're in as well. It's
Yeah.
like every week changes. It's like, okay, prompt engineering, then context engineering, and now loops, or you're not gonna make it, or et
Right.
cetera, et cetera. And it's just like I don't know, you feel all that urgency, like I don't generally get stressed out, but I just feel like it's a little different than when like because I've done a lot in the JavaScript ecosystem, and things were changing a lot all the time at some point, and it felt like that. But the difference is like I felt eventually I could be like I'll catch up on these things when I need to, but I feel
Right.
like with AI, when it does change, you kind of need to get up to date pretty soon. So I'm curious what your experience has kind of been in this space.
Yeah, well, you mentioned that you said JavaScript ecosystem. Yeah, like I remember like when as an engineer, I was working at O'Reilly and I was just trying to keep up with this transition of like, React becoming a really exciting thing. And then there was just so many like frameworks and libraries that were popping up. And it just got a little bit overwhelming about where to focus my efforts on. What do I need to be really good at? What are the use cases? So that, but this AI or agentic AI space right now, it's just like it's that, but times 1,000 for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Just how cutting edge it is, and like new research coming out every single day, it's like there is actually a lot to keep up with and try to test on your own. Um, Over the past maybe like year and a half, I've kind of went wide with there's AI engineering and understanding the systems behind it and generative AI. And then there's like, okay, but how do I use AI for software development,
Yeah.
which different focuses, but still so many subtopics like underneath all of those. So yeah, it's high pressure for sure.
Yeah, and it's like you're mentioning software, so like obviously there's the I guess we could call it at this point maybe the traditional software development life cycle. I've heard people call it now the agentic development life cycle. This kind of ties into where you work. You work at a company called Qodo.
Mhm.
You're definitely one of your priorities is definitely shipping quality. How do you make things testable? And you know I, I have my experiences using AI for that stuff, but I'm curious what your perspective is on this, and maybe even how like Kodo is addressing this.
Yeah, I think like at the highest level, it's like there had been so much excitement about AI code generation, using all of these different models, and the models kept improving. Oh my goodness, the rate at which that they have improved over the past year
Yeah.
alone is just it's actually kind of scary when I think about how far we've come
Mhm.
in such a short amount of time. But yeah, like we've been focused on like this major excitement of being able to write or generate a ton of code, and then but then we kind of foresaw that there would be issues with actually transforming that code into something that we could trust and like actually stand behind for for building software like we have always had to do,
Yeah.
where there's a certain level of standards, there's a certain level of software engineering standards that you needed to uphold with your job and for the industry or like the space that you're in, even more so for those in like highly regulated industries, right?
Mhm.
Like where it's just higher stakes software that you're shipping, and some cases people's lives or security are at stake. And so like how do you account for that when AI can just so easily generate slop, right? Like it could technically work, but it's not any of the other things that we care about in engineering, like maintainability and readability and performance and all of that.
Yeah.
So like that's what we're tackling here at Qodo. I think it started with like, okay, well, since you're using all of these different agent harnesses to generate code, use Qodo for AI code review.
Mhm.
And that's a really good way to help with the surge of amount of code that is trying to get out or move through the pipeline. And now it's kind of just expanding beyond just AI code review to like, well, how about we embed quality across the software development lifecycle? How about we stop AI slop like earlier in the process than code review?
Mhm.
And so like those are the solutions that we are expanding into, and we're in exciting times.
Yeah, no, for sure. I dropped the link to your LinkedIn before. If people want to give you a follow or connect, just I don't know. This is just in general. When people connect, just send a little message like, "Hey, Nnenna, I saw you chatting with Nick" or something, just to give her some context as to, instead of just a random connect. Anyways, yeah. And here's Kodo, so you can check that out. Um, I'm curious, like, so how are you addressing this at Kodo? Because like I've been in the software industry for a while. There's been refactoring tools and testing tools over
Yeah.
the years, and some like um, stuff like spec based driven development. You know. TDD, extreme programming. There's like all these different, methodologies, and I guess like how are you presenting this to people, or how are you, and like maybe how are you even packaging the product around this?
Mm-hmm. Really good question. I think like the biggest thing, like I said, is starting with AI code review, and like that's so it's a tool that runs like it's an automated tool that runs in your PRs,
Yeah.
like in GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, wherever it is that you need to review a pull request or merge request. and it automatically scans your code for any potential code issues and organizes that based on like level of severity, presents that to you, the developer, and then um, you can basically copy and paste the agent prompt back to your coding agent to be like, this is what the problem is, and here's what was the suggested fix from
Okay.
Qodo. That's the loop that we wanted to close, and then it kind of expanded beyond that because now, okay, great, you've got an app in GitHub that you can install and it can run. It's automatic. It shows you what's wrong and how to fix it.
Mhm.
But like, what about beyond that? What about using? What about context? Like deeper context? Because if you really want AI to be useful for like developers, you kind of need it to mirror as much of the developer's intellect, skill set, and the context that they carry on the job and in their profession. And
Mhm.
so that is where we started to focus a lot on what kind of context engineering can we do and like productize that to enable even more high quality code issue findings beyond like the mechanisms, the algorithms that the research and development team are building.
Yeah.
It's like you can make it even better when you've got context that's pulling in from like your coding standards from the projects and repos services that you're building, the engineering standards that you typically have across like an engineering organization.
Mhm.
When you've got skills, different agent skills that you use, you can pull, that can be pulled in as context. And the entire code base, it could be, a dozen repos, it could be hundreds or a thousand repos. Sometime in some cases that kind of context can be important for like breaking changes across different services. So when you really start getting into the weeds of like, okay, well, there's different types of context sources that a human like developer really has that enables them to do a great job as a developer. We need to turn those into what we know we can create now for AI to then talk to that context to use it for an improved experience.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's great. And I like how you mentioned like coding standards because like I mean I was doing this already, but like AI is great, but we still have deterministic tooling, right? Like we have
Yes.
linters, we have like I've done a lot of TypeScript, like a compiler in general, that is a deterministic thing. This does not compile. It doesn't, what I mean? You don't, there's things you don't need to throw at AI, like you obviously can, but and I forget who I was reading about this the other day, but yeah, they were just kind of reinforcing that point, like just because AI is here, don't, obviously you could say lint it itself maybe, or maybe it just starts up the tool, obviously, but like you could have maybe hooks, like if you're using like Claude Code or something, or even it just in the skill, I find results vary with skills because like it doesn't always, like if you say always do this, it's not necessarily going to, because it's
Right.
but regardless, like I guess the point stands, like you have all this deterministic tooling already that we've had for years, leverage that, and I feel like AI is kind of more like the cherry on top of, I don't know, your Sunday or whatever. If people eat Sundays with cherries on them still, I have no idea. I feel like I'm from 1950 all of a sudden. Uh, but yeah, I mean, yeah, that just made me think of that when you mentioned the coding standards, and I guess curious, are you educating people around that too? Because like you obviously have a product, but I think part of, as well as you're obviously developer relations lead, we educate people about not just our products, but also like just the ecosystem in general. So
Yeah. Uh, so I'm really excited. One thing that's awesome about being in like DevRel right now, I guess with AI, is like, the more that you can test out and build things yourself, like the more that you can then share what you know is working.
mhm.
And like you pair that with the product of the company that you work for and champion. I think we're in exciting times. I'm really all about enabling developers to use AI to embed like code quality gates into their workflows.
Hmm.
It's like whatever interfaces that you use, whatever stack that you have for your dev workflow, there should be a way to ensure that you are shipping the right thing, and that you are shipping something that you're confident in, that not only does it work well, but it's something that, like, another developer could return to and easily understand what's going on.
Hmm.
And to do that, I think that yes, AI can definitely be the cherry on top, and it's certainly that's a perfect way to put it, because linters, I am big on keep the linters. Like all the tools that I had enabled that I used like on an engineering team, I'm pretty sure I'm still using almost all of them now,
Hmm.
even while using Codex and Claude Code like every day to build my fun like projects and stuff. So it's a great combination. I think there needs to be a bit even more determinism in the workflow process. But yeah, I have conventional commits. I have like all these like linters running. I'm like if I want to do like all these like security checks that are not AI related, but they're going to scan the code for any type of like security or like vulnerabilities and whatnot. So
Yeah.
those things can work together. Definitely not either or.
Yeah. No, for sure, for sure. And so like like obviously AI can generate tests, and I know full disclosure, I've never used Qodo yet, but I think I will have to try it after this live stream. I will definitely have to hit you up. But like part of the product is it generates tests as well, right? Is that correct?
That was something that we used to do.
Okay.
But yeah, we actually used to have this code generation side to our tool, and which involves technically
Okay.
also generating tests.
Okay.
And then sometime last year, uh, over the fall, we made this pivot to just really focus our efforts on that one slice of AI code review only, and just kind of moved away from code gen, and we're just like, look, everybody's going to be using a ton of different tools for code generation, but everybody is going to need something to control that a
Yeah.
bit more
Okay.
as like the last step. And so then that's where we went full force on code review as opposed to code generation.
Okay.
But
Yeah, no, that's no. It's well, one startups pivot, or you find what makes the most sense to. Yeah, I think because correct me if I'm wrong. I think I used it when it called something else before, or
Codium.
yeah, that's what I had it in VS Code. That's what I was thinking of. Okay, yeah, okay. So
Loved it. Yeah, it used to be called Codium, and I think isn't there another company that used to be called Codium?
yeah, no, there's Codium, which is like I think it's like
Windsurf.
yeah, Codium became Windsurf, which is now Devin, I think. Yeah, it was like the other fork of VS Code. Yeah. Also, hey, Tehran, good to see you.
Oh wait, so there's Devin, and then that's Devin is under cognition. Like I actually can't keep up with.
Yeah, no. Yeah, there was. I'm pretty sure it was Codium. Then I think Devin came out as like a standalone tool like a year and a half ago. Like I remember it was like Devin can do everything. Like they were showing it doing some code generation and like doing a full-fledged feature. And then I can't remember what happened after that, but then it became Windsurf. And then more recently, there's like, if you go to devin.ai now, it's like, I've used it a bit because I know Natter over there, and he was very kind to give me a Max Pro plan to try it out, and it's pretty solid. But yeah, I think the whole product is called Devin now, but I'm not positive. But yeah.
I would be curious to know, like, what kind of are you seeing a big evolution in your space with Pomerium, and the focus of Pomerium and the products and
Yeah.
the landscape that we're in.
Yeah, it's definitely changing. So like to be like we're not an AI company, we're security software for infrastructure. Our core product is something called an identity aware proxy. So it's just really good at hardening access to internal resources, and there's all these dynamic policies and dynamic authorization, and so that's like been our bread and butter since 2019. It's like open core. We obviously have paid products too, but basically I think it was like a year and a half ago, I remember our friend Angie Jones, she just posted on LinkedIn, I'm heading to the MCP Dev Summit in San Francisco. And I was like, what the heck's that? And so then I looked at it, and then I was just like, I spoke to work. I said, hey, I mentioned MCPs, and I said we should go check this out. So I ended up going. I ended up speaking, but it was on the online part after because they had so many speakers. But that we started to dabble in MCPs. So we're still our core product, but we also can act as a MCP gateway, and it works. It honestly works really well. Shameless plug, but it just fits really well because we operate at the HTTP level typically. So, and remote MCP servers are literally just web servers. So, so it fits well there. So like we've been doing a lot of that. And then like, I mean, I think AI in general, I'm saying the obvious here, but like security and infrastructure have been like important things for a long time. Like you can't have servers without infrastructure, etc. But I think with AI, things have just become so accelerated because people are building things, and then they're like, "Oh crap, it's not as secure as I thought," or "We got hacked," or like, or like even if it's not intentional, like I've done this so many times. It's like I had a hook, like don't look at my env file or anything, and then I've had to rotate keys. I can't tell you how many times, but like so stuff like that, but also just malicious actors. So there's this whole, it's not even a trend, but just say a new way of handling this is you want to have sandboxes, and you want to have like your keys outside of it, and you can kind of proxy through, so you can still do all the stuff your thing does, but it's kind of like, I don't know, don't give knives to toddlers at a daycare, like the knives are over here outside of the daycare, like I don't know if that might be a very terrible terrible analogy, but so security is important, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like when you were explaining it, I was like, oh, there has to be an MCP for this because this can kind of be like almost just an invisible part of the process, right? It should just be happening all the time, no matter what kind of like operations that you're running on your machine, or I don't know, whatever interfaces that you use for work. So the security space is a very interesting. I used to be in container security.
Oh, no
specifically.
Way. I didn't know that.
Yeah, at a company called Slim AI that then turned into Root. Now they're Root, but I mean, container security is like the level of depth that we were getting into. It's like, okay, how can you harden containers, and by removing or unnecessary vulnerability or unnecessary packages, but also vulnerabilities as well, without breaking your code.
Yeah.
And it turns out that answering that question is like with like a real answer of is so difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also wild too, like, just like anything that's ever existed on the planet. Hey, this thing's amazing. Oh, hey, I'm a bad person. I'm gonna do bad things with this now. Like it's I don't want to say it's like the oldest story in the book, but like, like AI is amazing. There's a lot of things you can do with it. Obviously, people are leveraging it for bad, whether that's like, deep faking stuff, just trying to hack people's systems more now because they can move so much more faster, and then we've also heard about like Mythos and like Fable and like, discovering all these vulnerabilities, and it's like, oh no, like we're doomed. And so it's like, I don't know, there's just so much going on, and it's like the security threats are real, And
Hmm.
like I remember, I think it was cal.com. I use them for my booking, like for this stream, and they closed sourced their product. It was open source originally because they were fearful of, just because of AI, because you could, it's, the good thing with open source is, like, and this is even pre-AI, you can learn about a project. Like, that's how I learned, oh, that's why this Webpack thing isn't working, or this is how this JavaScript thing works. And with AI, you can, like, literally throw it a repo and it can potentially find a lot of vulnerabilities, and that's why they closed it. I don't think that was the right call personally, but that's an aside. But there's just, like, the attack vector is starting to become bigger, so it's like, I don't know, just, it's overwhelming.
Absolutely, it's very overwhelming. Yeah, I agree. There's bad actors in like anything and everything. If people want to leverage something as a weapon, they're determined enough, they'll find a way
Yeah.
to do it. So actually a really good reminder about technology itself. It's like, don't point the finger at the technology need, like as it is in isolation.
Mhm.
um, Point the finger at like people, processes, politics, whatever that would enable people to, and then even incentivize people to do bad with the technology.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah. Oh, also, hey, Roxy, good to see you. Thanks for joining.
Oh, awesome. Hey, Roxy.
Yeah, Roxy's one of my favorite people. She's good people.
Yes, I believe we met in, was it Miami? For You were down there too. Yes, you were.
Yeah, yeah. I
Uh,
was there for AI Engineer Miami,
yeah.
uh, and then I left after that. But I think Roxy was there for React Miami, I
Hmm.
believe. And then, were you at both, or?
Yes, I went to both.
Okay, cool.
It's so fun. I still think about it today. I'm just like, wait a minute. This was an epic week, getting to see so many folks like you, and what was it, Angie? I met Angie for the first time there. Angie Jones.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Dex Horthy, met him there. Just a really amazing time to hear tech and then meet the awesome folks behind it.
Yeah, yeah. I really enjoyed. Well, there's a lot of great talks at AIE Miami, but I really enjoyed Dax's opening talk there about, like, you can, like, build so many things now and proof of concept them now, but, like, which is good and bad, because you can have a lot of terrible ideas and now you can bring them to life quicker. So
Mhm.
I thought it was really well done. He had a really good interview with, what's his name, the Pragmatic Engineer podcast.
Oh
His name's
yeah,
escaping. Gurgley.
yeah,
I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Yeah, it was a really great episode with him and Dax. Like, I feel like Dax is, like, giving practical advice, too, not just theoretical AI stuff. So, because he's literally building a product as well. So, yeah, it was really great. And but I was a little disappointed I couldn't stay for React Miami, but React is nothing to do with infrastructure, so that's why
right.
I wasn't there.
That's hard. That's a hard sell, right?
Yeah, yeah.
To get
Although
you.
I was at the one in 2024, and it was pretty epic.
Oh, nice,
So,
nice.
yeah.
That was my first one, React Miami, and yeah, I agree with you. It is nice to hear like the um, practical stories and use cases from folks who are like in the trenches on the ground building
Mhm.
things, and also like building things for customers, and really like learning what their real pain points are, and yeah, coming up with like
Yeah.
solutions for it. It is definitely agree with you on or I guess agree with Dax on the ability to build so many things fast that it's coming down to what is what you're building even worth it, and like is it
Mhm.
really solving a problem, and what is that problem, what is the scope of this problem. um, but it's like faster iterations, then you can find out what fail you can fail faster, and that's
Yeah.
honestly like a startup mentality, or like a scrappy team at a larger company is, yeah, failing fast, building fast, figure out what doesn't work, and like iterate on that. we're
Hmm.
definitely cutting down the time of doing that. So
Yeah, for sure. And like you were talking about AI slop before, and we can definitely touch on that some more. Sometimes I just proof of concept something, and I know it's AI slop, but like I'm not concerned about that at that point. It's
right.
really like I'm trying to do this thing. Is it possible? I would say most things are probably possible. It's just you need to see it working right. And so like I've typically done that to just say, okay, yeah, that's possible. But that said, like I've built a lot of MCPs and stuff, and I have like a template now with like skills, and like I've kind of refined it and stuff. So like when I start using it, I'm not necessarily looking at the code yet, but I also feel slightly confident. Like the guardrails I put in place, they're pretty solid, and I will review it eventually if it's really something that's gonna go to prod. But because you were talking about skills and stuff before, and I guess that's another thing. Like I think people kind of talk about it, but like like because you've done a lot of testing and stuff. When you write unit tests, it's like there's a few things I remember. It's like people, one, when I first started, I had no idea how to test, and it comes down to how you architect things too. Like if you're tightly coupling things, then you can't test them, and I didn't know that when I first started off, and it seems obvious now, but like and the other thing was, just start putting some tests out there, and they grow over time. But the other thing too is it's kind of like tending a garden, right? You're always changing things, you're improving them, and I feel like that's the same thing with like whether it's skills or maybe you're improving your MCP server or just your process in general with agentic in it now. And I'm I'm curious, kind of, because you obviously meet a lot of your clients or people in the ecosystem. What are you seeing with all that going on? I guess.
Yeah, it is an iterative process. I mean, like the more we do our own, I think, like hands-on testing, and the more that we listen to what customers are experimenting with,
Hmm.
the more there's like an opportunity to sort of um, iteratively improve on one's workflow. Beyond like MCPs, I feel like folks kind of figure out which MCPs that they need for different use cases, but
Hmm.
the evolution of skills, like how to optimize your skills so that they are continue to be useful, or not just optimized, but how do you change or decide which new ones need to be created, and then like where should they live, like where do these skills live if
Yeah.
it's not just myself, Nana, who wants to use them, but I want somebody else on my team, or somewhere else to be able to leverage that. When you start getting into the weeds of those, you start to realize like there's got to be a bit more infrastructure for the tools that we have coming out, and I think we'll start to see more of that. What I would like to see is more like solutions where AI is doing like the maintenance and automated like maintenance and improvement of the different tools that we're using in our workflows themselves. Um,
Hmm.
it is possible now, but it's the idea um, that needs to be spoken about, and people need to understand, and people need to realize like that's a problem. And it's like, how about we reduce cognitive load by having a system that stores all of our skills in this context management system, and then can iteratively improve on it too. And I think there's tools like Tussle or something that that is all about skills evals, and so
Okay.
like different tools to integrate to manage those things as we are
Yeah.
continuing to build.
Yeah. Evals are interesting. I haven't really done much with them myself yet, but I got a chance to chat with Jim Bennett, who works over at Arise, and my old coworker from Netlify, Laurie Voss. He runs DevRel over there, and it's it's a funny thing because like like if say you've never done evals or heard of them, it's like testing. You're like, okay, input A, then I'm always going to get input B for this unit test, etc. And I don't know, it just makes me laugh. I'm sure it's not just me, but like you're using something non-deterministic, an LLM, to write a test to determine something non-deterministic gives you a good result. Like it's obviously not binary. It's like within a range, like a percentage of like the probability of it being like a good answer. But like it just kind of makes me chuckle still when I think about it. It's like we're gonna use the AI to test the AI, and
Not the most encouraging statement, right?
yeah, yeah. But they do work, and it's something I definitely want to invest a little more time in myself, just for like, even if it's a side project, just add evals to it, just to get my hands a little dirty is all. But
Yeah, that's something I need to work on. It's been like I think it's a GitHub issue that's been sitting for a while in my like OSS project I've been working on,
okay.
and I want to pull that down. I want Codex to pull that down and analyze. Okay, what is a good use case for leveraging Tessel, and what would I need to integrate? I need to go through that whole process, but I haven't actually done it. I could probably just set up an automation to
Yeah,
have.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What am
Blah
I?
blah blah. Make no mistakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does that
No.
actually work? I haven't actually tried that out yet.
Yeah. No. It's Well, it's funny because, like you said, you pulled testing out of the product, and like I think, like, because it is code generation, and you wanted to focus on something else. I think AI can be good at writing tests, but it can also be like it can write a passing test. It doesn't mean it's a good test, right?
Oh yeah.
Like I mean, I'll give like a silly simplified example, but like test this multiplication function, and inside it's hard coded, 1 times 2 is always going to equal 2. I mean, I don't think it does that kind of stuff anymore, but I remember seeing some stuff like that at one point. So I mean, I guess it just gets back to you should be reviewing your stuff, and like and this is something like a code review tool I would think would pick up. So it's just, yeah, it gets back to you still need to be looking at what you're doing, like in terms of like AI slop or avoiding it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Like I consider, I don't even want to say human in the loop anymore. It's like I say things like human at the center of the loop, or something, just something to just make it a bit more clear that we are the practitioners here. We're the ones who are responsible for AI might write it, but we're the ones who own it
Yeah.
as and you can determine which projects and are things that are worth applying your full attention on for review. Not
Yeah.
every pull request is created equal, not every project is created equal, but you can be a bit dynamic with determining, okay, we need a really solid structured workflow here. We need to make
Mhm.
sure we're reviewing. Maybe it's not going to be every line of code, but it's going to be like we need to be reviewing like the intent
Yeah.
of this pull request, and then determine a plan of action moving forward.
Yeah. No, for sure, for sure. And I'm also kind of curious. I know you can't give away any of the secret sauce of the product necessarily, but like obviously different models they all behave different. Well, or a lot of them behave differently, and some are better at other things. Some you don't, I mean, you don't need to throw a high thinking model at like, can you just, I want to bake cookies tonight, can you get me the recipe, or just burning tokens for no reason. uh, I'm curious. I would assume with like a kind of code reviewing tooling, it's not always running the same model. It must adjust based on, I guess, maybe difficulty or certain criteria. I don't know if you can speak to that or not, because like I said, I don't want you to give away the secret sauce.
I
But
know. You know what I can speak to is what we have publicly available on our blog. Um,
okay.
so yeah, we do have a research and development team that they're always evaluating the latest models that come out. And then you can determine, there's 5.5, there's Opus 4.8. Then you can determine when we use this model and these certain combinations of models in for an AI code review system, when you run the benchmarks against that, you can see, does it perform well? Does it
Yeah.
find all of the issues that are in this like set of realistic pull requests?
Yeah.
Is it surfacing the really, really important ones?
Hmm.
That is like the metric. Those are the metrics and benchmarks that you can use, and just swap out the different models to actually test which ones are effective for, depending on the specific piece of code that you're reviewing, the type of problems that could exist, because there's different types of code quality issues.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is. I will definitely share this blog post with folks who want to do a deeper dive, and it is called "The Next Generation of AI Code Review from Isolated to System Intelligence," and this goes
Okay.
into a mixture of experts. Um, it goes into a mixture
Okay.
of architecture, and kind of it explains like different mechanisms that we're using. And I think we use Haiku right now for some of these smaller tasks within the whole AI code review system, and then like more more sophisticated models for more complex tasks.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Cool. Yeah, I dropped the link to that. I'm definitely gonna add it to my list of things to read. So I'm gonna go and bookmark
Yeah,
that right away.
hopefully everything I
Uh,
said was not was in accordance with what we can publicly say.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if
If it isn't, this recording never happened.
right, if it's not, then I will be asking if you have any roles open at Promarium.
Awesome. Cool, cool, cool. Let me just go ahead and hide that. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I guess maybe to not so much switch gears, but like we're both working in developer relations. I'm curious, like how things change for you with AI. Like for example, like I use it every day, as I'm sure you do as well. Yeah, I consider it a tool. I remember like when it first came out, I was like, I might have maybe treated ChatGPT more like this all-knowing oracle initially, maybe, but
Mhm.
obviously it's not that. But yeah, I'm just curious, like, I guess for your own, personal workflows, whether that's for work or maybe even outside of work, how you're kind of leveraging AI.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I use AI every day for different tasks. So I use Codex and Claude Code for building my open source software projects, and for contributing to like Qodo skills that we've been building out here and there. And then for like content creation and like developer relations,
Mhm.
I took a step back actually at the beginning of 2026, and decided to approach with AI like at the highest level of technical content creation. And I had this
Mhm.
brainstorming session. I was like, I need a manifesto. I need, and I was like, I need a manifesto. I need my thesis, my like personal like positioning statement of like who I am, what I care about, what I do for, and like what I do for work, and what are the principles that I stand for that actually align with what I'm championing at work, really. Because
Mhm.
I mean, I'm being myself, and that's what's awesome. I'm working and doing what I like to do because I care about developers, and I care about shipping high quality code. So I did this whole brainstorming session with AI, and then we came up with what I'm calling a thought leadership operating system. And it's literally,
Okay.
it's so simple. They're just Google Docs of all of those principles and things that I care about. And then I use that as context across all the different AI tools
Yeah.
to make sure that no matter what that I put out, it is aligned with my values, my principles, my Roxy, uh, totally.
Yeah, so I'm laughing because one, that's very funny, but also it's because I always do that too. I'm like only whatever, like whenever I'm on her streams.
Right?
Anyways,
Um,
but it is true. Only your thoughts, yes.
right, right. So, like I use that as my like massive, like this is how to transfer Nana's brain to other Claude to Codex to whatever. So the whatever I put out aligns with like my voice. And
Mhm.
that has been one of the highest leverage things worth doing. It took me like 5 hours to build up that Google Drive docs.
Yeah.
It just powers everything that I create now.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
I absolutely love it. What are you using AI for these days?
Yeah, well, for work, so like obviously I'm not just shipping AI slop for like docs and like guides and stuff, but like the way I've been approaching it is like again like you I'm using it like a tool. So like typically what I do a lot of dictation sometimes. Like I use the built-in dictation in Mac OS and I just start, just blurting out what I think because I realized at one point this was like when I was doing personal blogging, I was just getting writer's block or it wasn't the right mechanism for me to sit at the computer and start typing. And I typically go for like walks in the evening just to kind of chill out. And I started dictating sometimes when I walk, not always, but and I found that's a big unlock. And then basically I have some mechanisms in place as well. So like over time, like when MCPs first came out, I created an MCP for dev.to, the blogging platform. I used to work there, but I used it initially because I said like, because the way I use dev.to, I post there, but it's kind of like my headless CMS for my own blog.
Yeah.
So I basically said, like extract my style and tone and, so it'll check that, keep that in check. And then I have skills in place to just other things like M dashes really aren't. I honestly didn't know what an M dash was until about a year and a half ago, and then AI made it very aware of what M dashes are. But I literally never used them in my writing before, and so like I just always say no M dashes. That's like a very minor thing, but I'll also like, it kind of gets back into the deterministic kind of things. I say like, if I'm writing a guide, I need a prerequisite section, I need a setup, I need, like whatever the criteria is. So I have those in place. I'm leveraging examples heavily for certain things, and it's kind of like those guardrails through skills and MCPs just help me move a lot faster, whether it's personal stuff or work stuff. And like I think one of the big unlocks too is especially if your product is open source is
Mhm.
AI has access to it like you were saying before. So like it can help you learn about your product like some or like maybe there's gaps in the documentation.
Mhm.
So like and I'm still learning the product. Like I've been here for like just over a year and a half now, but there's still things I don't know, right? And I've found that super helpful as well. Or even once I've created these criteria, you can go over pre-existing stuff like before I wrote it, and you can go like, oh, that doesn't meet up to the standard. And I haven't changed a lot of the old stuff yet, but like it's just it's kind of like blueprints or templates to set you up for success, really. And there's other things I've done. I shared it with my friend Becca. It's a repo I have of developer relation skills, and I basically modeled it off of Ashley Willis, who works at GitHub, Angie Jones,
Yep.
my old CEO and buddy B Dougie, and I basically took a lot of their writings and I said like help me, and they're referenced and credited, but like I say like help me create like a set of skills that will always challenge like is this developer oriented or focused, you know what I mean? Like it's like I think Tejas Kumar always says it's not dev sell, it's dev rel.
Mm.
So like there's a time for selling things, but like so like I have stuff in there like you're not, I don't know, it's a I feel it, I'm sure you know this too, but there's like a fine line between developer relations, talking about educating people, and like you're kind of implicitly selling your product a little bit, right? But you're never like, are things the best or whatever and stuff. And yeah, I have all those skills in place, and I use those when I write something sometimes, or a guide. And I'm happy to share it with you. I can invite you to the project if you want to check it out.
Oh, I would love
uh,
to.
I'll, it's private right now, but I'll eventually make it public. And I was gonna even ask like Angie or B Dougie or Ashley what they thought about it. But just because, yeah, again, it's like it all comes down to rules, I guess, at the end of the day, just to keep steering it this way, like so that's kind of how I'm leveraging it. So similar.
I love that. I've been kind of hoping for a long time that someone would focus on like developer relations related some type of tool. And it seems like, yeah, skills could be a really strong like answer for that. As long as
Yeah,
someone whoever's creating it is putting in the work to maintain it too, or
yeah.
maybe it's a small group of maintainers, just like making sure that as much as AI is evolving, that we've got some kind of tool like that we could leverage really, for doing an even better job than we already do, or at least to match like the quality of the work, that we do, and maybe scale it.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I'll definitely share it with you after. I'll take note to send it to you, and yeah, feedback super welcome. And I definitely will make it public at some point. It was just like I was just messing around with it. I was focusing more on the automation and deployment of the because skills get versioned and stuff. So it
Yeah,
was more about like just getting that part working. Like the actual content is there already, but yeah. So
I have
well,
a project that I'm going to keep working on, as long as I stay motivated. And that
yeah,
is like it's called Policy NIM. And it's about, like basically providing your coding agents with any type of security or like engineering focused like policies and standards. Um,
okay,
just to experiment with, okay, if I have like an MCP that can pull down some standards to my coding agent, will it have like proper context to build things the right way, like whatever the right ways are for backend and like authentication
okay.
and whatever. So it's been a fun thing experimenting with, but a lot more to build out there.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. I know we're getting close to time here, but I'm curious if there's, I don't know, we've touched on a bunch of things. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to maybe touch on, or I'll drop a link to Qodo again just so folks can check that out.
Oh yeah, feel free to check out Qodo. I believe we have there's like a 2-week trial or 14-day trial where you get access to all of the features, even like enterprise level,
Oh,
tiered,
nice.
just to get a real feel for, yeah, how you can like bring in your context to and review code in like a very like high quality way. And also, like, I'm going to be on the road, like I always am, like both of us always are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll be at We Are Developers Berlin.
Oh, nice.
I'll be at AI Engineer World's Fair, in SF next week, and I'm sure, yeah, folks can find me on X, Nana Hacks, and that is where I'm yapping a ton.
Yeah, I'll grab a link to your X real quick here, and I'll just go ahead and drop that for folks. Uh,
And thank you for
yeah,
having me. This was super fun. It was great catching up with you.
yeah, yeah. No, it's great. It's great chatting too. I know we talked about it for a bit, and then like obviously, you know, people get busy. We're
Yeah, I
both super
know.
busy. I was in Europe for a couple weeks, so yeah. No, definitely love the convo, and yeah, thanks so much for taking the time. And I'll go ahead and just drop your LinkedIn again one more time for folks. Definitely encourage you to connect with Nnenna. Like I said, just drop a short message. I find it's a lot better than just saying connect with me without a message. So, but yeah, this has been great, Nnenna. Thanks everybody in the chat, and Nnenna, if you don't mind just staying on for a minute, and everybody else, we will see you in the next one. Um, I don't have somebody lined up yet for the next one. I have a couple people in the pipe, but we'll have something out soon. So take care, everybody, and we'll see you in the next one.